Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Jordan Blanchard. Again, I teach at Mountain View High School in Orem, Utah. I've got a couple of great student teachers with me this semester who are here at the conference. That's really fun. Today we're going to talk about long-term athletic development, specifically kind of vertical alignment, how I could set up strength and conditioning at elementary, junior high, and high school levels. As I look around this room, I see a lot of people who I've learned things from. Okay? And so today, if you have things that you want to add or that we should discuss as a group, let's do that collaboratively. I do not claim to be an expert in every facet of strength and conditioning. I do know some things pretty well, but you are also experts in the field, and so I would love to hear some of those things as we go through. That's my email. If you want to collaborate after this and shoot emails back and forth, I would love to do that. If you want any of the presentations you see today, I will share them with you. I'd love to do that. This is our weight room at Mountain View High School. There are 12 racks, 6 on either side, and then 12 in-floor platforms. That came as a part of a kind of a capital improvement thing that we did in 2019. This is the picture though I took last week. Each year we've kind of added a few new things. Those TVs down at the end are my timers for class, and I really like that. I'd just be starting things out the wrong way if I wasn't thankful to a few people in my life. Mrs. McShane was my math teacher in high school, and she taught me a lot about what good teaching is. Showed a lot of love for me as a student. My head football coach, Coach Sullivan, that's his, when he finished, that's his record. Unreal, right? My senior year was his final full year of coaching, and that was the 26th straight year that he made the playoffs, or he led his teams to the playoffs. So I grew up wanting to play football and wanting to play for that man. And I think a lot of us have had positive experiences with teachers and coaches. That's why we're here. But he was a big part of that. When I got into college, I thought I wanted to play football. That didn't work out, but I met Dean. Dean was from New Zealand. He helped me learn rugby, gave me a chance to learn the game with his team, and then I somehow successfully completed a walk-on tryout for the rugby team at BYU. Changed my whole college experience, so I'm really thankful to him. A lot of you know Dr. Pennington. He's a professor at BYU. Dr. Pennington was not only a great professor in my program, but he knew a position was opening at Salem Junior High. And he built connections and relationships with that new principal. He attended board meetings to do all these things, and then he had that principal come to mock interviews, and he put me in that room with that new principal. And then afterwards, he continued to vouch for me. You know, I'm not sure I would have got that first job if it wouldn't have been for him. I currently work with a man by the name of Chad Blevins. I did my student teaching with him at Mountain View, actually, and now I get the privilege of working with him and in the department with athletics. He taught me so much. And one of my principals, Mr. David Smith, really helped put that weight room together. And it has changed the whole experience and things that I've had there. So not everyone I need to thank, but that's a few people. Some takeaways from today. Hopefully you understand generally the 10 pillars of long-term athletic development. We're going to talk through those briefly. Vertical alignment, how you could set up some vertical alignment things, how to effectively build your program within your cluster, right? How do you set it up with your PLC group, your teachers? If you don't have that, how do you work with those above and below you grade-wise? And then just a few random things that I've had some success with in strength and conditioning that have been helpful to me and built excitement in my program. And if they help your program too, I want to share them. Okay? Our goal as strength and conditioning coaches is always to minimize injury, and minimize is a really important word. Don't ever get caught up in the idea that you're going to eliminate or avoid injury. That's not happening, right? You're going to minimize injury. Think of Alex Morgan in the World Cup. There's not a lot that could have prevented that ankle break in that situation. Maximize performance. Saquon Barkley, wow, what a running back he is. Okay? If you remember that play, he leaps backwards over the top of a defender. Just an incredible athlete. A lot of that is genetics, but I think at the same time he's put in a lot of work with strength and conditioning. Hey, so starting out with the 10 pillars of the successful long-term athletic development. If you want this document, you can scan that QR code. It takes you to the position statement from the National Strength and Conditioning Association. They put together these 10 pillars, and we'll summarize those here in just a second. First, your program has to be adaptable, right? You're going to get kids of different sizes and maturities and experience levels. You have to be able to adapt it up and down based on their current placement. I sometimes, at the high school level, I work with athletes who are elite level in their sport. When it comes to their sport is 14, 16, 18 years. They've really been playing the sport that long. But when it comes to strength and conditioning, their training age is 0. Okay, so it takes some conversations with them because they think they're an elite level athlete, and they are, but they have a lot of development still to happen in strength and conditioning. Next one, it should be inclusive. Okay, we want everyone to benefit from this physical fitness and physiosocial well-being. It's not just the all-American kids. Everyone can benefit from this. Number 3. It's got to be movement-based and strength-based. If you were here at the very beginning, I talked about my elementary school teacher, and we did obstacle courses and a lot of skill things, and it was just fun. I remember climbing the wall and going under tunnels. That was movement. He didn't have to put me on, some squatting, bench pressing, clean and jerk program as a first grader. I just wanted to go on the balance beam, right? And that helped a ton. But we shouldn't neglect some strength development things, even at those younger ages, right? You can still develop strength and muscular control at that time. We want to encourage multi-sport athletes. I think I'm preaching to the choir here, but athletes are less likely to be injured, and they're more likely to have a diverse set of skills if they are multi-sport athletes. There's less burnout, all of those things. So my personal experience was I played every sport until I couldn't anymore, and that was about junior year of high school. I used to think that there weren't enough seasons in the year to play all the sports that I wanted to play. But then I became a junior, and it became football was my true love, and I did track because I wanted to be good at football. Right? Those became the two things. Basketball went out of the way, stopped wrestling in junior high, didn't play baseball anymore, all of those things. But we need to encourage multi-sport athletes for as long as possible. And saying it is one thing, but doing it is entirely different. I've interviewed a lot of coaches, like, yeah, we love kids who play multiple sports, but when it comes down to summers and sharing athletes, they don't feel quite the same way. Okay? So, make sure that we're creating schedules and practice plans and game schedules that allow kids to participate in a diverse amount of things. Should be enjoyable. Right? It's got to be fun. We want to do things with proper technique and form, so we're reducing chances of injury. Long-term athletic development has to do with both health and skill-related things. When you look at this list, and I apologize that it's small, but health-related fitness, we kind of know cardiovascular endurance, muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, body comp. Those aren't necessarily flashy things, right? So your guru online is probably not advertising those things. They're advertising that we're going to help your kid jump higher. We're going to help your kid be faster. And those are important things, but those are a single facet in long-term athletic development. We got to work with all of those things, and I think we do in our PE classes. Number 8, not important if you're not testing it and recording it. You can say it's important, but the emphasis doesn't go and doesn't become a real thing unless you're testing it and recording it. And I'm not saying that, oh, you've got to run a 5-minute mile, that's the thing, but testing a mile means that the mile is important. Testing, squatting to proper depth, then all of a sudden that's important for your students too. 9, it's got to be vertically aligned. I don't know why this is such a crazy idea in PE or strength and conditioning. I mean, we would never be like, oh, English teachers, you just do your own thing, and when they show up to my class, I'll do my own thing. No, they have a first grade curriculum, they have a junior high curriculum, they have high school stuff.
Hey, if you have a chair open right next to you, will you raise your hand? Raise your hand. You guys, there's plenty of chairs if you want to.
You are invited to come up if you would like. The last thing of Pillars of Long-Term Athletic Development is that the program is run by someone who's qualified and certified in the space. Now, I feel like that's very rare within PE. We're all PE certified, maybe we're PE and health certified, but if I look back to my college training, I took a beginning weights class, but I took it multiple times. But I was only required to take beginning weights once. I think some of our new programs don't even require weights at all. Okay? So there's a chance that you might be assigned to do strength and conditioning and you have no formal training in it. And no disrespect to professional athletes or those who played college sports, simply because you did it in college or the pros doesn't mean you're good at teaching it. Okay? I go to the dentist very frequently, but I'm not good at filling cavities. Okay? And I know that's an exaggeration, that's hyperbole, but simply because I was a college athlete that worked Olympics in college doesn't mean that I was good at teaching them. I went back and got my USA weightlifting level 1. I got my CSCS. I've done multiple certifications for them, and I'm still trying to learn. There's still things that I can pick up to be better within the space of strength and conditioning. Okay, most of our high school students just need to be able to control their own bodies. They could benefit from 10 more pounds of muscle. That takes consistency and time. And for me, I like the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay? Just keep it simple and do good things over and over and over again, and you'll see incredible results. When you're not chasing numbers or results or outcomes, when you're just doing good things consistently, that's when good things happen. I've had coaches come to me, hey, we want to do something basketball specific. I'm like, none of your kids can stay on the block because they weigh 140, right? They would all benefit from being a little bit stronger. Okay? I have soccer kids, they just need to, we want to do ACL prevention training, okay. I'm like, yeah, but they're getting knocked down off the ball. And everyone could benefit from 10 more pounds of muscle. Now, are those other things important too? ACL prevention and basketball specific? Absolutely, right? Usually though, we just need general things, okay? So what could your program focus on? Your program's likely going to focus on things that you have done before, that you're familiar with, that you've taught, you feel comfortable with. It could be bodyweight exercises, could be traditional strength things, squat, deadlift, bench. That's like a powerlifting of emphasis, Olympic lifts, plyometrics, speed work, injury prevention stuff. We are privileged in this session to have a former NBA strength and conditioning coach and a college coach, Coach Medina over there. I had the privilege of doing an internship with him for the summer. You should be teaching this probably, Coach, but thank you for being here. There are a lot of different directions you can take. Coach Omer at BYU, when I was with him for a couple of summers, he was Olympic lifts. He's leading football kids through Olympic lifts. The coach who was hired after him, Coach Wintrick, he was at BYU, went to UCLA, did some pro stuff. He was plyometrics. Okay? Coach Medina did a lot of injury prevention things, did some body weights things, and then he modified some of these other lifts for the height of basketball players. Okay? So everybody has to have an emphasis. What will yours be? Okay? I think I'll make an argument as we go through this that it should maybe be a little bit of all of those things, but you do have to have a focus. Okay, for your information, strength and conditioning is an approved individual lifetime activities credit in Utah. Okay, so that second credit that's required for high school graduation, so they take 9th grade, participation skills. Correct me if I'm wrong, 9th grade teachers. And then 10th graders, they take a PE fitness for life course. And then after that PE fitness, they have to do an additional PE credit. This can count for lifetime activities or that PE elective. It can count now because it's been formalized in a strength and conditioning core. So if you're looking at, what can I do in my class or what should I include, the core is always a good place to start. I feel, so there was a group of 10 or 12 of us that put this together a few years ago. Some who were in CrossFit, some who were in, bodybuilding, some who were in body weight. I feel like this is a really good entry point that no matter what type of strength coach you think you are, you would be able to understand the terminology and work through it that way. So I'd encourage you to use that as a resource moving forward. Okay? I wanted to share with you the mission of Mountain View High School Strength and Conditioning, or Strength and Speed. I've been trying to transition that. All of my branding now says Strength and Speed. That's something I'm chasing, is really big, strong athletes that can move. And so I've changed that to speed. We want to provide a safe and energetic environment to develop strength, power, and speed. And our program seeks to unify all athletic teams at Mountain View High School. So this is not just for football. It's not just for basketball. I had girls tennis a couple months ago. I had boys golf. It's for every team at Mountain View, and we're there to help them. So I want to tell you some of the things that have become important in our program, and then because they are important in my program, how do I program that on a weekly and annual basis, and then how we could set that up at each of our levels. So for a long time, we have tested back squat, bench press, pull up, and clean. Those 4 at Mountain View High School. Like I said, I've been working with Coach Blevins. He really emphasized pull-ups, and I think that's an excellent balance between a lot of our chest stuff that we do. So we have a measure that includes clean, back squat, bench press, and pull-up. It's those 4 things. So our kids get really good at pull-up because it's testing for us. We test that. The last couple years, we've been participating in an unofficial state weightlifting competition, and deadlift is part of that. And so we test that now, make that a little bit of an emphasis in our advanced classes. We do some sprinting of increasing length. Start out with like a 10-yard fly, 15 fly, and then I work them up to about 40 yards. 40 is kind of usually my max within class. That's all my hallway can accommodate. And then our advanced kids move on to Olympic variations, clean and jerk, and snatch. But everybody at Mountain View High School is going to do clean, back squat, bench, and pull up. Whether you're at beginning weights, advanced weights, you're doing that. So in my advanced classes, over a 2-week period, we're AB schedule. This is our early out Wednesday. I used to do a ton of speed work on our shortened early out day. As a school, we really had an emphasis to make sure we are intervening in a very timely fashion. So not waiting until the end of the term, oh, you're failing, now we got to fix it. So we have built in time during class, and in PE we've chosen that to be the early out day. So we usually do some speed work at the beginning. I time a lot of things and record time. That's kind of our timing day for sprints. And then they go into makeup. Do they need to make up workouts or anything else? In our advanced class, we're usually starting on the platform, doing some type of Olympic or Olympic variation, move to an upper body push, a lower body movement, and that could be front squat, overhead squat, and then finishing out with that pull-up, upper body pull motion. Any questions or thoughts on that so far? Okay. So again, I said that we want everybody at Mountain View High School to be able to clean, back squat, bench press, and pull up, and we've added deadlift to that in the last couple of years. So that's kind of our essential standard everybody gets to. Then our advanced kids, they do a little bit more. They're doing all of those things in Olympic variations, and we're teaching them to sprint and jump and land. And then how do I move backwards from that? So in our PE fitness, classes and our lifetime activities classes, we're still doing those in kind of a 2-week deal. Notice we changed from back squat to front. I think that's a good introductory spot. One, front squats you can't load quite the same way, so I love that for safety. It allows a little bit more upright posture. Okay, safety thing again, I love that. But that's a good starting point for a lot of our kids. We do more hex bar there, and then a ton of PVC progressions in our Olympics. So the PVC progression that we did to start today, I do that with my advanced kids. I've done it in beginning weights, and I've done it with my junior high kids when I did 4 years at Salem Junior High. Like almost every day we were doing PVC pipe. So we weren't lifting, we weren't doing clean and jerk, but we were doing PVC clean and jerk, and we were working that all the time. So as a junior high teacher, you could be working those in. Junior high, I did a lot of front squat, did a lot of hex bar, and we had some plate loaded machines that they could kind of work on around the room. And as long as they were sitting correctly in that plate loaded machine, they were pretty safe. And then I had some racks in the middle that were back to back half racks. And so in those, I could kind of monitor those 4, and we were doing front squat or bench or doing hex bar deadlift things. Okay, so that was junior high. If that's where we are in junior high, well, in our regular ed PE classes, go talk to Anthony Rocha in Alpine School District. Every single day in his PE classes, he's doing PVC work. That's their warm-up every single day. And I wish he was feeding my school. That would be really cool. So that's a good thing to teach those movements. And then at the elementary level, are they having fun with it? But elementary kids can do PVC too. They can lift a 3-pound bar. So we can introduce some of those things and let them know that they're actually kind of good at those, right? And help them progress through. So this is maybe not a perfect progression or vertical alignment, but we decided that this is what we want. Every kid's gonna do it. We've been doing it for 15 years. So how do we advance out of that? And we've added advanced classes in the last 5 or 6 years. Those are some of our advances. Well, but then how do we work backwards from that? Okay, so
are kids not allowed to take the advanced weights unless they've taken the beginning weights?
Correct.
And
Yes.
if someone happened to sign up for your class that hadn't taken the beginning weights, do you guys just say, sorry, you gotta go?
So that's a good question. Our caveat has kind of been successfully completing beginning weights, or you participate in a UHSAA sport. If you do one of those 2 things, we've kind of said you could come in. There have been times where I've allowed beginners to stay based on how they move. And then there have been times when I have beginners, I like, hey, I'm so glad that you're here and you chose to do weightlifting, but I think you're gonna have a better time in this beginning class. Can we move you back one class? I wanna keep working with you, I wanna keep helping you. You're maybe not quite ready for some of these Olympic variations, let's go back. And I have requested that they move back. So thankful to counselors that help me do some of those moving back type of things. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, we are hoping that our student athletes train all year. So we're training in the summer, we're training fall semester, we're training spring semester. We're here wrapping up our spring semester. In the summer, we do 7 weeks of training over the summer. I do it 3 days a week, so like a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I have 3 hour-long sessions, 7:30, 9:45, 11. And we bring in 150 kids over the summer, something like that. That's not all of our athletes. I wish it was more, but it's been a really great start for the athletes that we do have. I've been trying to help our students and our student athletes understand that we don't just train preseason, but we train in season, and then we train post and in the summer. Especially in the developmental phases, like sub-varsity levels. Right? If you missed out on in-season work, you'd miss 20 workouts in a year. Or in the varsity level, so this fall with girls volleyball, they'd come in and do a game day lift with me. It was 30 minutes. On game days, we lowered the intensity, so we lowered the weight, but increased their intent by helping them move the bar a little bit faster. So the weight was way lighter. It was exercises they were already familiar with, and they moved the bar faster. And they walked out the door feeling loose. They felt like they could do things. And that was a really good way to get them. I'd give them a chocolate milk on the way out, right? They were feeling good. They had a good experience in strength and conditioning, and boom, they go. So again, that's a work in progress too. Some coaches are all in, like, yeah, we're doing this all year. And some, when season hits, they need some convincing that weightlifting should still be a priority. But again, if our goal is to minimize injury and maximize performance, we have to be lifting all year long. And I want my kids to, at the very minimum, be as strong as they were at the beginning of the season when they hit playoffs. That's a minimum standard. I don't want to be weaker going into playoffs. I want to be at least as strong, and so I got to maintain those lifts. And if I could add 5 pounds, 10 pounds, right, man, that's pretty cool. You're feeling your best, you're your strongest and your fastest going into playoffs. That's what we want to do. So that's our goal at Mountain View High School. Like I said, it's a work in progress, but that's what we're doing. Any questions or thoughts on that? Okay, this formula has taken me a long time, and it's not some like brilliant formula. It's what I've come up with. This banner is above our door. I kind of think of Notre Dame, play like a champion today, hit it as you go into the stadium. That's kind of the thought. Have you become more athletic today? University of Nebraska in the late 80s, early 90s, they had a formula that if, and it's a proprietary formula, so no one, I don't really know what it is, but they recruited athletes simply off that formula. If you could jump a certain height, if you were this certain amount of strength, blah, 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 if you met this criteria, they could recruit you. And if they recruited you, they could teach you how to play the game because they knew you were a stud. Think back to the 90s. They were winning championships in football and everything. They were doing stuff in strength and conditioning no one else was doing, and they had come up with this kind of simple formula that allowed them to get really good athletes. Okay? So I wanted to take something that was measurable, that wasn't, test exhausting, things that we were already doing. So I told you, Coach Blevins, he's a wrestling coach, and he came up with this bench press, pull-up, squat, clean max divided by your body weight. Now, who does that reward divided by your body weight? If it was those 4 things divided by body weight. Little kids, lean, small kids, right? Wrestlers who are the smallest for their weight class, but they're still really strong. And that's cool, but most other sports, it's a benefit to be larger within your sport, or at the very least to be faster, okay? So we've come up with, since about 2018, this athleticism score, and it has changed the way we do things, because we were really good at helping kids get strong, and we weren't always seeing it translate to speed work. Okay? And so, again, by testing it on a regular basis, then it became, oh, what's your 40? What'd you run on your 20 today? What was your flying 30 the other day? Right? The kids are talking about it. They're competing. Oh, man, I was the second right? And it's because we started measuring it. So that's our athleticism score. For boys, a good score is over 200. Girls, if it's over 100. And that's been really fun that's what I care about. Right? Could I measure 1,000 other things? Would it be great to measure vertical jump? Sure. Broad jump? Yeah. Would it be great to measure clean and jerk maxes? Sure. All of those things. But I didn't want something that became test heavy. So because we're already doing those lifts, I wanted to add in a speed element. That became really easy. If you were a bench press, squat, clean school, maybe that's what your formula is. And maybe it doesn't divide by anything else. But what you test becomes important to your kids, and they know that, and then they start working for it.
How long have you had this formula?
18, 19. Yeah, so we're 5 or 6 years in now.
Into it?
Yeah.
And is it pretty, if you do it on a kid that comes in, you don't know him, and you see his score, do you have a pretty good idea of this is how?
Yeah. The hard part, say maybe a 9th grader coming in, these aren't really true numbers, true maxes, right? So that might be the one challenge. especially when you're looking at kind of University of Nebraska, how they were using that as a recruiting thing. But I have noticed over time, our girls over 100, they're starters on the varsity team. They are college athletes, those type of things. We have a boy right now who's got a bunch of offers in wrestling. He's a 230 something, 236. Incredible athlete. I had him go up to bobsled tryouts because I was like, dude, you can be whatever you want to be, Olympian. He's just got a ton of power. But kids that are over 200, I've noticed that, again, they just move really well because of this, right? If that 40-yard sprint time wasn't in there, we'd lose that movement aspect. And so because they're moving so well and they've got decent levels of strength, they're college level or they're varsity level athletes. That's been pretty consistent.
For the pull-ups, is it repetitions or is it weights?
All of this stuff we do 1 reps. So with our pull-ups, we do body weight plus a 2-pound belt, a chain belt, exactly, and then plus whatever we've got on. And then it's a single rep. So it's funny, I'm up on the rack trying to see the pull-up height, and they're hanging first and then chin up above the bar. And I have to see that, we count it, and then we're good for there. Yeah, other questions on this stuff? Couple of things that I have had some success with as far as celebrating students. So that's kind of the end of that long-term athletic development. I know we flew through it really fast in that vertical alignment things. So if you have questions on that stuff, please stick around. Let's have a conversation about that. Email me, let's keep going. So we've been doing record boards for a long time. It's fun. We do both all-time records and then we do semester records. So all-time records, if you've been going for a while, all-time records are hard. Right? There's a reason they're the all-time best. It's the 10 or 20 best kids ever to go through your school. That becomes really challenging to get on that record. So we like to do semester ones too. And then we take pictures. We have a pizza party at the end of the semester. You made a top 20 list in whatever lift. So we have record boards going. For my summer stuff, I do t-shirts. And so we have 21 sessions, I think, over the summer. And I'm charging $30 this summer, and I give them a t-shirt. So it's kind of free on free. But I want them to have fun with it. They walk away with a t-shirt. It's a chance also for us to kind of brag on our strength and conditioning stuff and how we've competed at meets. And so kids start walking around that are maybe non-strength and conditioning weightlifting kids, but they're bragging and advertising for our program. Just recently, I got bracelets. I'm wearing one today. This is just a generic, says Mountain View High School, Strength and Speed. They're in Boston, raised. It's a pretty nice bracelet, but I give them to everybody who comes into class. Kid and then now they're walking around school wearing this. But our kids who have athleticism scores, boys over 200, girls over 100, they get a special black one, right? And they think that's cool, right? It's this special color, right? And so they're trying to hit that mark to then get those bracelets. And then on a daily basis, we have a record board. So if they beat, this is softball that I was working with that day, if they beat a repetition max or a calculated max, whatever it is, I don't stipulate a lot, but in their mind, if that was a PR, write your name up there. Okay? And I tell them, ring the bell. Everybody in the class stops. They start, yeah, right? And then we move on. It's maybe kids that don't get celebrated in any other way during their day, but they get to write their name up there and ring the bell. And it's so fun when it's, especially like my beginning weights kids who, they might define themselves as non-athletes, right? But they're there, they're trying, they want to learn, and they're up there writing records, and they feel so good. So that's like a really easy investment that I could make. A $20 board, a $100 bell or whatever it was 8 years ago. Like, that's a small investment. On a daily basis, they feel good as they're doing that. So those are some of the things that have worked good for me. We have a school-wide Student of the Day program. I try to nominate kids, and I usually do my advanced weights classes, and I just nominate the whole class. I just go through every kid and say something nice about them. So that's already a program that my school is doing, and I just participate in it. And why wouldn't I, right? Like, who else deserves Student of the Day except for kids in my weightlifting class, right? If an English kid deserves Student of the Day, I think my kids could too. So I've been trying to participate in that. Does anybody else do anything else in their program that they found that kids just love? Yeah.
Got like club shirts, like when they reach like certain, like 500.
Certain totals.
Yeah, they have, our PE shirts.
Uh-huh.
It's a different color and they say the club name. And then we don't have to like make them dress up because they want to wear the shirt.
They want to wear that. Little La Sierra High School color differentiation stuff. I like that a lot. That's cool. Anything else? Okay. So your next steps, what I think you could do moving away from this session, meet with your PE team, meet with your coaches at your level, determine like what do you want kids to be able to do? What is important to you? Once you've kind of decided that, and honestly, I'd encourage you to get your PE teachers together, but some of your influential coaches, right? What do they care about? Right? What do they want to measure so they have a little bit of buy-in in this process? And then you decide as a school, at this school, this is what we do, right? If that's the standard, then how do we go back from there? What do your general ed PE classes need to cover? How can you support and help your junior high classes? And then elementary. I'm going to be honest, and some of you in the room are in my cluster. This is still a work in progress. I'm not perfect at, this vertical alignment idea, but I'm trying. And I'm trying to build relationships and connections with those teachers and those coaches and those kids. So they're excited to come up to Mountain View. But yeah, it's a work in progress. Then look for ways to support all of those teachers. We got a Mountain View High School mission statement. It's up on the wall at Lake Ridge Junior High. That's our feeder school. And it's got Mountain View branding on it. So that's one way that we're trying to support them. I'm trying to help them with some technique things, get them PVC pipes, all of those things, and then continue to seek professional development opportunities. And again, I'm preaching to the choir. That's why you're here. You're trying to pick up something. This was not enough, though. So I hope that you use this as a springboard into some more learning that you could do. Those of you at the high school level, I wanted to make you aware of a weightlifting meet that will be on April 16th. That's our divisional. And then those who qualify out of the divisional go to the state competition on April 30th. So we call it a state meet. It's not a UHSA sport, so it's not sanctioned, it's not official. I know some of you in the room are doing your own weightlifting meets. I mean no insult to the great work you're doing at your meets, but PG has run one for a long time, coming up on 10 years, and there will be probably 500 kids that work through this divisional to the state process, so almost 300 per divisional, and then 250-ish at the state meet. So it's a big meet. There is the Olympic division, so snatch and clean and jerk, and then the power division, squat, bench, deadlift. So athletes can compete in both divisions or pick one or the other at the divisional level, and then they have to qualify out of divisionals to go to state. It is done by weight classes, which is really great, right? Our girls are in weight classes, our boys are in weight classes. But I would love to have you that way. At Mountain View High School, we host the Southern Divisional, so I think of anything PG South, that's kind of us. Anything Pleasant Grove High School North ends up going to Cedar Valley. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, Coach.
If we had kids go to that before, will we get an email with that?
I'm going to try to send that out this week. I've been stressing about these presentations,
Yeah.
but
I contacted Chad a while back.
okay.
I got a few kids that want to do it.
Yes, send them, please, Coach. Yeah, I'm going to try to send it out to everybody who has, coaches who have previously registered. But will you drop me an email too, and I'll make sure that I send stuff to you. That would be good. Okay, any other questions or thoughts?
Did you make these PVC?
I did make these PVC pipes. So the bigger ones are 1 inch, the smaller ones are 3/4. 3/4 is good for a smaller athlete, especially to hook. To get hook grip is really hard on a 1 inch pipe.